भारत के राष्ट्रपति श्रीमती द्रौपदी मुर्मू अद्वितीय पुस्तकालय महोत्सव 2023 का उद्घाटन करेंगी के विषय में एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस नेशनल म्यूजियम जनपत रोड नई दिल्ली में 19 जुलाई 2023 को आयोजित की गई।
अस्सलामु अलैकुम, मैं ज़मीर अहमद अंसारी और आप देख रहे हैं जेड न्यूज़ फॉर यू। अर्ज़ यह है कि आपने अपने चैनल जेड न्यूज़ फॉर यू को अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो सब्सक्राइब करें और साथ में दिए हुए बेल आइकन को भी दबाएं, जिससे हमारी आने वाली सभी वीडियोस के नोटिफिकेशन सबसे पहले आपको मिल सकें।
भारत के राष्ट्रपति श्रीमती द्रौपदी मुर्मू नई दिल्ली के हाल नंबर 5 प्रगति मैदान में 5 और 6 अगस्त 2023 को आयोजित होने वाले 2 दिवसीय कार्यक्रम अद्वितीय फेस्टिवल ऑफ लाइब्रेरीज 2023 का उद्घाटन करेंगी। महोत्सव का आयोजन केंद्रीय संस्कृति मंत्रालय द्वारा किया जा रहा है। कानून और न्याय मंत्री, स्वतंत्र प्रभार और राज्य संस्कृत राज्य मंत्री और संसदीय कार्य मंत्री श्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल ने आज नई दिल्ली में पुस्तकालय महोत्सव के कार्यक्रम का अनावरण किया। संस्कृत मंत्रालय के सचिव श्री गोविंद मोहन और संस्कृत मंत्रालय की संयुक्त सचिव श्रीमती मुग्धा सिन्हा एवं नानू भसीन इस अवसर पर उपस्थित थी। भारत के उपराष्ट्रपति श्री जगदीप धनखड़ कार्यक्रम के समापन समारोह के डिजिटलीकरण पर बातचीत शुरू करने के लिए दुनिया भर के प्रतिष्ठित पुस्तकालयों पर भी प्रकाश डालेगा। पत्रकारों को संबोधित करते हुए श्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल ने कहा, पुस्तकालय महोत्सव 2023 ज्ञान और कल्पना का जश्न मनाता है। पुस्तकालय पांडुलिपियों को संरक्षित करते हैं और इतिहास और असीमित भविष्य के बीच में खाई को पाटते हैं। हमारी डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी पहल बाधाओं को तोड़ती है, सभी नागरिकों को ज्ञान तक पहुंचाने के साथ सशक्त बनाती है। आइए उत्साह के साथ जश्न मनाएं। पुस्तकालयों की परिवर्तनकारी शक्ति और वन नेशन वन डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी द्वारा दिए जाने वाले असीमित अवसरों को अपनाना। मंत्री ने आगे कहा कि पुस्तकालयों का विकास हमारी प्राथमिकता होगी, क्योंकि पुस्तकालय विकास के लिए मानव केंद्रित दृष्टिकोण का एक अनिवार्य हिस्सा है। उन्होंने बताया कि भौतिक रूप से पुस्तकालयों ने हमारे देश में गौरव का स्थान बना लिया है और हम लोगों के बीच पढ़ने की संस्कृति को पुनर्जीवित करना चाहते हैं। श्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल ने इस बात पर जोर दिया कि हमें भौतिक और डिजिटल पुस्तकालयों का संतुलन बनाए रखना होगा और पुस्तकालयों में पढ़ने का आनंद लेने के लिए वरिष्ठ नागरिकों और दिव्यांगजनों के लिए विशेष कोने भी बनाने होंगे। इस अवसर पर संस्कृत मंत्रालय के सचिव श्री गोविंद मोहन ने कहा कि पुस्तकालयों और संग्रहालयों के बीच गहरा संबंध है और भौतिक और डिजिटल पुस्तकालयों के बीच मिश्रण की भी आवश्यकता है और महोत्सव के दौरान इन दोनों मुद्दों पर विस्तार से चर्चा की जाएगी। पुस्तकालय और भावनात्मक और मानसिक विकास के लिए आवश्यक है और इसलिए लोगों में पढ़ने की आदत को पुनर्जीवित करना महत्वपूर्ण है। दिल्ली लाइब्रेरी महोत्सव रोमांच लॉन्च कार्यक्रमों, प्रदर्शनियों और पैनल चर्चाओं की एक श्रृंखला के साथ शुरू होगा। श्री गोविंद मोहन ने कहा कि ये भारत भर के पुस्तकालयों के लिए एक विशेष रैंकिंग प्रणाली भी शुरू करेगा, जिससे पुस्तकालय परिस्थितिकी तंत्र में स्वस्थ प्रतिस्पर्धा और प्रगति को बढ़ावा मिलेगा। इस अवसर पर बोलते हुए संस्कृत मंत्रालय के संयुक्त सचिव मुग्धा सिन्हा ने कहा, पुस्तकालय समुदाय के ड्राइंग रूम है, जबकि भौतिक पुस्तकालयों का प्रसार जारी है। साथ ही पुस्तकों का प्रकाशन भी बढ़ रहा है। पुस्तकालयों की यात्रा और पाठकों की संख्या में गिरावट आ रही है, जबकि डिजिटल, सोशल मीडिया और नए जमाने की प्रौद्योगिकी की दुनिया में घरों और उपकरणों के आराम से पढ़ना आसान बना दिया है। पुस्तकालय अपनी दुर्लभ पुस्तकों, पांडुलिपियों और अभिलेखागार के साथ बेहतर बुनियादी ढांचे और अन्य के साथ खुद को फिर से आविष्कार करने और पुनः कल्पना करने के लिए अपने मांगकर्ताओं के साथ तालमेल बनाए रखने की आवश्यकता होगी। डिजिटल डिवाइस सुविधा उन्हें बगीचे की नकल करने में सक्षम बनाती है, जैसे वे बहुकार्यात्मक समतावादी स्थान है जो सभी के लिए आसानी से उपलब्ध है। ये ध्यान में रखते हुए कि पुस्तकालय महोत्सव का उद्देश्य पुस्तकालयों के पूरे परिस्थितिकी तंत्र का पता लगाने और वे कैसे नंगे वाचनालय से संस्कृत हॉस्पिटल तक पहुंच सकते हैं। ये महोत्सव आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव के दूसरे चरण का एक हिस्सा है। ये पुस्तकालयों के विकास और डिजिटलीकरण को बढ़ावा देने और भारत में पढ़ने की संस्कृति को विकास करने के प्रधानमंत्री के दृष्टिकोण के अनुरूप है। पुस्तकालय महोत्सव दुनिया भर के प्रतिष्ठित पुस्तकालयों को प्रदर्शित करने के लिए एक मंच के रूप में काम करेगा, जो पुस्तकालयों के आधुनिकीकरण और डिजिटलीकरण पर एक संवाद शुरू होगा। इसका उद्देश्य भारत में गांव और समुदाय स्तर तक मॉडल पुस्तकालयों के विकास के लिए कार्य उन्मुख नीतियों के निर्माण की सुविधा प्रदान करना है। ये महोत्सव पूरे भारत में पुस्तकालयों के लिए एक विशेष रैंकिंग प्रणाली के शुभारंभ का भी प्रतीक होगा, जो पुस्तकालय क्षेत्र में उत्कृष्ट और नवाचार को बढ़ावा देगा। ये कार्यक्रम एक समापन समारोह के साथ समाप्त होगा, जिसमें भारत के उपराष्ट्रपति श्री श्रीमान जगदीप धनखड़ उपस्थित रहेंगे। उल्लेखनीय मुख्य आकर्षणों में पुस्तकालय की एक भीड़ श्रोता निर्देशिका का शुभारंभ और 3 प्रमुख पुस्तकालयों के बीच एक त्रिपक्षीय समझौता ज्ञापन पर हस्ताक्षर करना शामिल है। खुदाबख्श ओरिएंटल पब्लिक लाइब्रेरी पटना, रामपुर रजा लाइब्रेरी रामपुर और मौलाना अबुल कलाम आजाद अरबी फारसी अनुसंधान संस्थान टोंक दीर्घकालिक सहयोगात्मक कार्यक्रमों के लिए रामपुर रजा लाइब्रेरी के 250 साल पूरे होने के जश्न की शुरुआत रामपुर रजा लाइब्रेरी पर आधारित कथानक के साथ सैसी लाइब्रेरी श्रृंखला का शुभारंभ और एक का विमोचन 22 स्थानीय भाषाओं में कर्विंग राइटिंग पुस्तकों का सेट। नीति आयोग ने माननीय प्रधानमंत्री के एक राष्ट्र एक डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी मिशन के हिस्से के रूप में चरण 1 में केंद्र सरकार के पुस्तकालयों की एक संसूची बनाने के लिए संस्कृत मंत्रालय के तहत पुस्तकालयों पर राष्ट्रीय मिशन को काम सौंपा है। पुस्तकालय महोत्सव एक अनूठा आयोजन है जिसका उद्देश्य पुस्तकालयों के संपूर्ण पारिस्थितिकी तंत्र के प्रतिभागियों को शामिल करना और प्रेरित करना है। महोत्सव में नई पहल और प्रकाशनों का भी शुभारंभ भी होगा। इस आयोजन में गोलमेज चर्चाएं और पैनल शामिल होंगे जहां प्रतिभागी भारतीय राज्यों और दुनिया भर के पुस्तकालयों से पुस्तकालय की सर्वोत्तम प्रथाओं का पता लगा सकते हैं। साहित्यिक उत्सवों के आयोजकों, युवा लेखकों, प्रकाशन गृहों और अन्य लोगों के साथ आकर्षक बातचीत होगी। विशेषकर पुस्तकालयों और उसके संग्रह के लिए योजनाओं पर ध्यान केंद्रित करेंगे, जिसमें पुस्तकालय, पांडुलिपियों और अभिलेखागार पर राष्ट्रीय मिशन भी शामिल है। आगंतुकों को मानचित्र कला, सुलेख, घटित लेखन और जनजातीय फ्रंट और लिपियों को प्रदर्शित करने वाली 10 मनोरम प्रदर्शनियों का अनुभव करने का अवसर मिलेगा। अभिलेखागार विशेष रूप में निजी संग्रहालयों के डिजिटलीकरण पर चर्चा की जाएगी और उपस्थित लोग दुर्लभ अभिलेखीय संग्रह और प्रबंध पांडुलिपियों की एक उल्लेखनीय प्रदर्शनी का आनंद ले सकते हैं। महोत्सव में पुस्तक लेखक सत्र, डिजिटल डिस्प्ले, पॉडकास्ट और मानव पुस्तकालय परियोजनाओं के साथ इंटरैक्टिव ड्राइंग रूम की सुविधा होगी। एक समर्पित चिल्ड्रन जोन बच्चों में पढ़ने की प्रति प्रेम को बढ़ावा देने के लिए व्यवहारिक गतिविधियां प्रदान करेगा। इस कार्यक्रम का उद्देश्य पुस्तकालयों और शिक्षाविदों से लेकर 100 कांची जिलों के जिला कलेक्टरों और मॉडल पुस्तकालयों के निदेशक तक सभी हितधारकों को एक साथ लाना है, ताकि पुस्तकालयों का समुदाय के ड्राइंग रूम बनाने और पाठकों को भविष्य के रूप में उभरने के लिए प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए एक रोडमैप विकसित किया जा सकेगा। नेता पढ़ने वाले देश की भावना के अनुरूप नेतृत्व करने वाले देश हैं। 2014 में लॉन्च किया गया सरकार का राष्ट्रीय पुस्तकालय मिशन NML देश भर में पुस्तकालयों को बढ़ाने के प्रति उनके समर्पण को रेखांकित करता है। मॉडल पुस्तकालयों को विकसित करने, जिला पुस्तकालयों को डिजिटल नेटवर्क से जोड़ने और आर्थिक रूप से पिछड़े जिलों में पुस्तकालयों को प्राथमिकता देने के लिए इस मिशन का कुल बजट 100 करोड़ रुपए है।
श्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल साहब, मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट इंडिपेंडेंट चार्ज ऑफ द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ लॉ एंड जस्टिस and Minister of State in the Ministry of Culture and Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. My colleagues from the Ministry of Culture, from PIB and from the National Library, and friends from the media. ये हमारे लिए एक सौभाग्य की बात है कि हम एक लाइब्रेरीज का फेस्टिवल आयोजित कर रहे हैं 5 और 6 अगस्त के दिन प्रगति मैदान में। और मैं आज संक्षिप्त में इस फेस्टिवल के बारे में आपको कुछ जो अहम तथ्य हैं इनसे अवगत कराऊंगा। जैसा कि आप सबको पता है, हमने मई के महीने में एक बहुत बड़ी इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑन म्यूजियम्स भी आयोजित की थी। वो भी प्रगति मैदान में हमने आयोजित की थी और उसमें लगभग 30,000 से भी ज़्यादा प्रतिनिधि आए थे पूरे विश्व भर से, और भारत के जितने भी म्यूजियम हैं, संग्रहालय हैं, वहाँ से ये लोग जो हमारे फेस्टिवल ऑफ कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ म्यूजियम में आए थे, इन्होंने एक राय व्यक्त की थी कि म्यूजियम्स और लाइब्रेरीज के बीच में एक आंतरिक रिश्ता है, एक नाता है, और इसलिए जब हम म्यूजियम्स पर इतना ध्यान दे रहे हैं तो हमें लाइब्रेरीज पे भी ध्यान देना चाहिए। इससे पहले हमने अपनी एक स्वतंत्र पहल के अंतर्गत हमारी जो 2 बड़ी लाइब्रेरीज हैं कल्चर मिनिस्ट्री में, जिसमें खुदाबख्श ओरिएंटल लाइब्रेरी है पटना में और रामपुर रजा लाइब्रेरी है रामपुर में, इन दोनों का नाम बदल के लाइब्रेरी एंड म्यूजियम पहले ही कर दिया। तो जैसे रामपुर रजा लाइब्रेरी को आज के दिन में रामपुर रजा लाइब्रेरी एंड म्यूजियम कहा जाता है और खुदा बख्श ओरिएंटल लाइब्रेरी को खुदा बख्श ओरिएंटल लाइब्रेरी एंड म्यूजियम। आपको ये भी याद होगा कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो म्यूजियम की कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई उसमें जब उनके अपने वक्तव्य में उन्होंने ये कहा था कि भारत का हर घर एक प्रकार से ये म्यूजियम बन सकता है अपने आप में। और वो कैसे बन सकता है कि जो पुरानी पीढ़ियां हैं, जो प्रीवियस जनरेशन्स हैं, उनकी फोटोग्राफ्स, उनके डॉक्यूमेंट्स, उनके रिकॉर्ड्स को संग्रहित करके हर घर एक छोटा सा म्यूजियम बना सकता है। और यदि उस परिप्रेक्ष्य में इस म्यूजियम की कल्पना को देखें तो ये एक लाइब्रेरी जैसा म्यूजियम होगा। तो जिस बात पे मैं जोर दे रहा हूँ ये है कि लाइब्रेरी और म्यूजियम्स के बीच में एक बहुत गहरा एक रिश्ता है और इसीलिए इसी के अनुरूप हम ये फेस्टिवल ऑफ लाइब्रेरीज भी कर रहे हैं। दूसरा इसमें विषय ये आता है कि आजकल डिजिटल लाइब्रेरीज की बात बहुत ज़्यादा प्रचलित हुई है और जैसा कि आपको पता है इस साल के बजट में ये घोषणा की गई है कि हजारों देश भर के स्कूलों में डिजिटल लाइब्रेरियां स्थापित होंगी और एक पूरा राष्ट्रव्यापी एक डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी का भी प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है जो कि नीति आयोग ने मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कल्चर को क्रियान्वयन के लिए दिया। अब विषय ये आता है कि डिजिटल के युग में क्या फिजिकल लाइब्रेरीज की अहमियत रहनी चाहिए, होनी चाहिए, या फिजिकल लाइब्रेरीज की जो कल्पना रही है सैकड़ों वर्षों से हमें उसको पूरी तरह से अब चेंज कर देना चाहिए। हमारा अपना मानना है कल्चर मिनिस्ट्री में कि फिजिकल और डिजिटल इन दोनों का एक संतुलित मिश्रण, अ बैलेंस्ड मिक्सचर ही सबसे उपयुक्त है और सबसे सूटेड है। और इसी के अनुरूप हम इस फेस्टिवल ऑफ लाइब्रेरीज में अपनी कल्पना को आगे रखेंगे जिससे कि फिजिकल बुक्स और फिजिकल बुक रीडिंग और फिजिकल लाइब्रेरीज की जो पूरी प्रथा चली आ रही है वो भी चलती रहनी चाहिए। तो डिजिटल भी होना चाहिए और फिजिकल भी होना चाहिए। और क्योंकि इस विषय पे अभी तक गहरी दृष्टि से काम नहीं हुआ है तो इस एक फेस्टिवल ऑफ लाइब्रेरीज के तहत हम इस बात पर भी जोर डालेंगे। तो म्यूजियम और लाइब्रेरीज के बीच का जो आंतरिक नाता है उस पर हम बात करेंगे और फिजिकल और डिजिटल का कैसा मिश्रण हो सकता है जो सबसे उपयुक्त हो भारत जैसे देश के लिए, इस ओर भी हम ध्यान देंगे। इसी के साथ जो एक पढ़ने का कल्चर था हमारे देश में, जहाँ जो पहली हमारी पीढ़ियां थी वो अपने मतलब उनको वो हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ पढ़ते रहते थे। वो पढ़ने का कल्चर भी इंटरनेट की दुनिया में, सोशल मीडिया की दुनिया में कम हो गया है। उस पढ़ने के कल्चर को कैसे रिवाइव करें, क्योंकि वो बहुत आवश्यक है किसी भी पीढ़ी के इमोशनल और मेंटल डेवलपमेंट के लिए। वो भी एक लाइब्रेरी से जुड़ा हुआ विषय है और उस पर भी हम ध्यान देना चाहिए। तो 2 दिन की जो ये कॉन्फ्रेंस होगी इसकी बड़ी रोबस्ट प्रोग्रामिंग हुई है। माननीय मंत्री जी आपको कुछ थोड़ा अवगत कराएंगे उसके बारे में और फिर हमारी संयुक्त सचिव अपनी प्रस्तुति में उसके बारे में और बताएंगी। इसमें पैनल डिस्कशंस होंगे, वर्कशॉप्स होंगी, एग्जीबिशंस होंगी, आर्ट एक्टिवेशंस होगा और एक पूरा जो एक जो बड़ी ऑडियंस है जो पूरे हर डेमोग्राफी को, हर ज्योग्राफी को का प्रतिनिधित्व करती है, उसके लिए ये सारी चीजें केटर करेंगी। इसकी स्पेशल हाइलाइट्स हैं एक क्राउड सोर्स डायरेक्टरी ऑफ लाइब्रेरीज, एक ट्राइपार्टाइट एमओयू होगा खुदा बख्श ओरिएंटल पब्लिक लाइब्रेरी पटना, रामपुर रजा लाइब्रेरी रामपुर और मौलाना अबुल कलाम आजाद अरेबियन पर्शियन रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट टोंक। ये तीनों एक ही तरह के इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं और इनमें बेहद बहुमूल्य और बेहद आकर्षक यहाँ सामग्री है। तो इन तीनों को अगर हम एक क्रम में जोड़ सकें, जो कि हम पहली बार करेंगे इस प्रकार की एक्सरसाइज, तो बहुत बड़ी सिनर्जी क्रिएट हो सकती है इस इकोसिस्टम में। और एक रामपुर रजा लाइब्रेरी के 250 वर्ष पूरे हो रहे हैं, उसका किक ऑफ भी होगा। इसी के दौरान एक थ्रिलर सीरीज हम लॉन्च करेंगे रामपुर के इर्द गिर्द, उसको हमने कहा है सैसी लाइब्रेरी थ्रिलर सीरीज। जो रामपुर रजा लाइब्रेरी के ही जो उसमें उसके अंदर जो मटेरियल है उस पर आधारित होगा। और कर्सिव राइटिंग बुक्स 22 जो लोकल भाषाएं हैं उनमें रिलीज होगी। हमारे इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में पूरे देश भर से स्टेक होल्डर्स आएंगे, लाइब्रेरियंस आएंगे, एकेडमिक्स आएंगे, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर्स आएंगे, मॉडल लाइब्रेरीज के डायरेक्टर्स आएंगे। और हम ये इसमें अपेक्षा करेंगे कि लाइब्रेरीज जो हैं वो कम्युनिटीज के ड्राइंग रूम्स की तरह हम उनको प्रदर्शित कर सके और रीडर्स को वो लीडर्स बने कैसे भविष्य में, उसके लिए उनको हम प्रिपेयर कर सकें। और यही इस देश की मांग है। ये हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के जो 5 प्राण हैं ये उनके अनुरूप है और इसी विजन को साकार करने में हमारा ये फेस्टिवल लाइब्रेरी सहायक होगा। अब मैं अनुरोध करूंगा और मेरा सविनय निवेदन होगा हमारे माननीय मंत्री जी से कि वो 2 शब्द कहें और हम सबको लाभान्वित देते हैं।
धन्यवाद गोविंद मोहन जी। हमारे सेक्रेटरी साहब, जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी मुक्ता जी और श्रीमती नानू वसीम जी और सभी आप मीडिया के मित्रों, ये फेस्टिवल ऑफ लाइब्रेरी 2023 इस पे आज हमने एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस रखी है मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कल्चर के द्वारा। आपको ये 2 विषय समझने बहुत जरूरी है कि हमने इस प्रोग्राम को क्यों महत्वपूर्ण समझा। हम आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में 75 साल तक कैसे चले, कहां तक पहुंचे, इसका विश्लेषण करने का समय तो है ही, लेकिन आगामी 25 सालों में हमें भारत को विकसित भारत बनाना और वो भी मानव केंद्रित। उसमें प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक शब्द यूज किया कि मानव केंद्रित। तो जब हमें विकसित भारत बनाना है 2047 तक, तो हम इन 25 सालों में रोड मैप क्या तैयार करेंगे जिससे भारत विकसित भारत बने, मानव केंद्रित। उसी क्रम में आज का ये कार्यक्रम है। ये 5 और 6 अगस्त को ये फेस्टिवल ऑफ लाइब्रेरीज का कार्यक्रम होगा। 5 तारीख को महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी इसका उद्घाटन करेगी। आप समझ सकते हैं कि कितना महत्वपूर्ण है। और इसका समापन महामहिम उपराष्ट्रपति जी के द्वारा होगा। तो इस कार्यक्रम की महत्ता भी आप समझ सकते हैं। और इसके जितने जो वर्कशॉप में टॉपिक रखे गए हैं उनका जिक्र मैं अभी पूरा तो नहीं करूंगा, लेकिन 1-2 चीज जो हमारे सेक्रेटरी साहब ने अभी आपको बताया कि हम इसको फिजिकल एंड डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी का समन्वय कह सकते हैं। बहुत से लोग पूछ सकते हैं, आप भी पूछेंगे कि सब लोग ऑनलाइन अखबार पढ़ते हैं या ऑनलाइन किताबें पढ़ते हैं, लेकिन इस देश में या किसी भी देश की तरक्की में फिजिकल लाइब्रेरी का महत्व कम नहीं होने वाला है। हम तो खुद महसूस करते हैं कि एक बार जब प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि आप बच्चों में, हमारी काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स में, बच्चों में स्टोरी टेलिंग की एक प्रतियोगिता करो कि वो कहानियां सीखें। तो जब हम गए हमारे क्षेत्र में, संसदीय क्षेत्र बीकानेर में, और मैंने बच्चों से बात की, उन्होंने यही प्रश्न किया। तो मैंने कहा कहानियां कैसे सीखोगे? तब तो उन्होंने कहा किताबें पढ़नी पड़ेगी। किताबें कहाँ हैं? कि किसी ने कहा दादाजी के पास है, किसी ने कहा नानी के पास है। इसका मतलब वो दादी और नानी के बीच में भी जा रहे हैं। ये हमारे संस्कार है। हमें पढ़ने का संस्कार भी डालना है और जानने का संस्कार भी डालना है। इसलिए फिजिकल और डिजिटल इसका समन्वय बनाना है। इसीलिए तो प्रधानमंत्री जी के प्रेरणा से जो वित्त मंत्री निर्मला जी है, उन्होंने बजट में घोषणा की है। इसलिए लाइब्रेरी का विकास हमारी प्रायोरिटी में रहेगा। और मैं एक जगह गया था, एक लाइब्रेरी में, उसी दौरान कि भाई आप रोज पढ़ने आते हैं लाइब्रेरी में, तो क्या महसूस करते हैं? तो उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि साहब हम 70 ईयर्स के लोग हैं, कुछ 80 ईयर्स के भी लोग हैं, ये आप हमें कहते हो यहाँ बैठ जाओ, फिर कोई लड़का आता है वो कोई और पढ़ना चाहता है वो उठा देता है। तो मैंने पता लगाया कि भाई हमारे यहाँ ऐसी कोई व्यवस्था है। मुझे जानकर प्रसन्नता हुई कि हमारे राजा राममोहन लाइब्रेरी फाउंडेशन में ये सीनियर सिटीजन कॉर्नर की व्यवस्था है। अगर राज्य सरकार से प्रस्ताव आए तो सीनियर सिटीजन के लिए अलग से कॉर्नर एक बन सकता है, उनकी बैठने की व्यवस्था भी बन सकती है। ऐसे आप दिव्यांग के लिए भी सोच सकते हो। आपने चिल्ड्रन कॉर्नर के लिए सोचा, आप दिव्यांग के लिए भी सोच सकते हो, और इसकी डिमांड बढ़ेगी, आपको मैं कह रहा हूं, क्योंकि वो घंटा 2 घंटा लाइब्रेरी में बिताना चाहता है, उसको जानने का अवसर मिलता है। इतनी किताबें घर में नहीं मिल सकती। और जैसे जिक्र किया एक और समन्वय बनाने का, म्यूजियम और लाइब्रेरी का। आप देखिए 17-18 मई को 2023 को म्यूजियम कॉन्फ्रेंस, म्यूजियम पे एक इंटरनेशनल हमने कार्यक्रम किया। उसमें प्रधानमंत्री जी खुद आए थे और सही उन्होंने कहा कि घर में भी बहुत सी ऐसी चीजें होती है जो रखने लायक होती है। हमारे दादाजी कौन सा पेन यूज करते थे, कौन सा कोट पहनते थे, रखने लायक होती है। कभी कभी वो आगे चल करके बहुत काम आती है। तो ऐसी किताबें रखने लायक होती है। इसलिए म्यूजियम और लाइब्रेरी का ये समन्वय, ये जो फेस्टिवल ऑफ लाइब्रेरीज है वो उसका समन्वय भी है। पढ़ने का संस्कार, जानने का संस्कार, और जैसे मैंने कहा स्टोरी टेलिंग, ये सब चीजें इसमें रहेगी। लेकिन एक मैंने दिल्ली में काम देखा। मैं दिल्ली के जब मैं कार्यक्रम में गया लाइब्रेरी के, तो मुझे कहा कि मोबाइल लाइब्रेरी चलती है। तो मैंने एक मोबाइल लाइब्रेरी देखी। वो मोबाइल लाइब्रेरी क्या है, मोबाइल वैन होता है, उसमें किताबें होती है। पर्टिकुलर मोहल्ले में जाकर के वो खड़ी हो जाती है। अनाउंसमेंट किया जाता है कि एक मोबाइल वैन आया है, उसमें इस तरह की किताबें पढ़ने के लिए है। वो बच्चे घरों से बाहर निकलते हैं और कुछ तो किताबें लेकर के चले जाते हैं, दिन भर पढ़ करके शाम को उसी मोबाइल वैन में वापिस जमा करा देते हैं। कुछ बच्चे हैं जो उस मोबाइल वैन में बैठ करके पढ़ते हैं। इसका मतलब देश काल परिस्थिति के अनुसार चीजों में चेंजेज आता है। कभी कल्पना थोड़ी थी कि मोबाइल लाइब्रेरी भी आ जाएगी, लेकिन मोबाइल लाइब्रेरी भी आ गई और दैट लाइब्रेरी इज रनिंग सक्सेसफुल। मैंने देखा कि बहुत अच्छा उसमें अलग अलग डिमांड और करते हैं वो लड़के और लड़कियां कि आप ऐसा करो, जब आप अगले वीक आओ तो इस तरह की किताबें लेके आना, आप अगले वीक आओ तो ये बुक्स लेके आना, हमें इस बुक्स की जरूरत है, ये हमें बाजार में गए मिली नहीं। तो इसका मतलब मोबाइल लाइब्रेरी की भी डिमांड जो है बढ़ गई है। ये एक और ऐसा अवसर है कि रामपुरा की जो लाइब्रेरी है, रामपुर की लाइब्रेरी, रामपुरा रजा 250 वर्ष हो गए हैं, अपने आप में बड़ा है। ये मैंने टोंक का तो मौलाना अब्दुल कलाम आजाद वाली लाइब्रेरी तो मैंने देखी है, अरबी पर्शियन रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट है, बहुत बड़ा कलेक्शन है। तो ये सब चीजों का एक समन्वय होगा। खुदाबख्श ओरिएंटल पब्लिक लाइब्रेरी पटना, इनमें भी इनके साथ म्यूजियम और जुड़ गया। तो म्यूजियम लाइब्रेरी का समन्वय, डिजिटल और फिजिकल लाइब्रेरी का समन्वय। आप दादा और पोता दोनों पढ़ सकते हैं लाइब्रेरी में जाकर के। सीनियर सिटीजन कॉर्नर में दादा पढ़े और चिल्ड्रन कॉर्नर में पोता पढ़े। तो दादे और पोते का भी समन्वय हो सकता है इसमें। भावी पीढ़ी और जो वर्तमान पीढ़ी है उसका ज्ञान का भी एक्सचेंज हो सकता है लाइब्रेरी। तो लाइब्रेरी तो बहुत अच्छा माध्यम एक होगा, मुझे ऐसा लगता है। और ये कार्यक्रम बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है विकसित भारत के लिए। तो आप सब लोग आए उसके लिए भी धन्यवाद। आपके प्रश्न होंगे उनका भी जवाब देंगे, पर पहले मुग्धा जी कुछ आपको बताएंगे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Now I request Mukta ji to give further details through a PPT. Namaskar, a very, very good afternoon. Honorable Minister for Law and Justice, Independent Charge, Minister for State for Culture and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Shri Arjun Ram Meghwalji, our Honorable Secretary Shri Govind Mohanji, and Madam Additional Director PIB, Srimati Nanu Basinji, all our distinguished guests and friends from the media, the press, electronic and social media. Thank you very much for finding out time to the Honorable Dais for doing this press conference, and also to everybody present in this August gathering today. I will now take you through the PPP. I understand that the people on the dais may not be able to see, so if I can request, sir, अगर आप अपनी chairs को थोड़ा side में कर लें. नहीं, चेयर साइड में लगा दो ना, कैसे देखेंगे? अरे चेयर्स घुमाने के लिए बोला है. हाँ. So as we all know and has been mentioned from the dais that the Festival of Libraries extra mic. So the Festival of Libraries is going to take place on the 5th and the 6th of August 2023 at hall number 5, Pragati Maidan. And this is a weekend, so it is a Saturday and Sunday, so it's not a working day. So hopefully everybody can find time to come and visit it. As our Honorable Minister Sir has already mentioned that this is being inaugurated by the Honorable President Madam Murmu, and the valedictory will be done by the Honorable Vice President. Just to give you a brief idea of why we are doing a celebration, because a festival is usually a celebration, and as the Honorable Minister mentioned also, that it is also part of our value system that we celebrate things that are important. So that is why this Utsav, this festival for libraries, to bring them into prominence, because the moment we hear the word libraries, we think of them as some dull and drab places where today, given the fact that we are aspiring to be a 5 trillion economy, we would like to much rather read from the comfort of our homes than to go to a dingy, dull library with poor infrastructure. So libraries, as has been mentioned, there is a whole ecosystem of a knowledge network economy, because we can become a 5 trillion and a 25 trillion economy only if we are connected through the knowledge network. And the idea of doing this is to give prominence to the libraries where all the knowledge and now also information can be put together. This can be done, as Sir mentioned, physically, or this can also be done in terms of a combination of digital library. So while people who would want to travel out, because we also know that there are still lots of people who do not have beyond a one tenement and they would want to go out into open spaces. So gardens and also libraries become important, because people move out of their houses in search of knowledge. Buddha also, we know, left his kingdom and moved out in search of knowledge. People leave their homes in search of knowledge, and libraries can be the magnet where people come to study and acquire more knowledge. So there are two very important people, and the reason why we are doing it in August is also because the 12th of August is the National Librarian Day, celebrated to honor two of our stalwarts, Mr. Ranganathan and Mr. Panikar, who devoted their entire lives to developing this culture, not just of libraries, but of reading in the states where they were. And that is why we celebrate the 19th of June, when we kick-started this entire program this year by honoring K.N. Panikar Saab, because the 19th of June is the National Reading and Digital Reading Day. And because Mr. Ranganathan has been such a pioneer in terms of the library movement in the country, we would want to acknowledge both these stalwarts as we begin to celebrate the Festival of Libraries. Now, just to give you a general idea of what we plan to do in this Festival of Libraries, some of it has been mentioned from the stage. So there we have, in the 2 days we are trying to pack a whole lot. So there will be certain functions which we have told you here, which will be happening on the main stage. And we will also tell you that we have created 4 drawing rooms and a children's library, where parallelly most of the workshops and exhibitions and other events will be happening. So in terms of the panel discussions, we have invited 7 to 8 founders of literary festivals, because we also think that if we are doing a festival of libraries, the literary festival people should also be invited. So we are doing a panel with them. As we know, in the country today, we have about 238 literary functions which are happening, but none of these functions are happening in the library. They're happening in hotels. It's time to bring back the literary festivals to the libraries. क्या हम ये जो साहित्यिक उत्सव हैं, इनको हम लाइब्रेरी के या पुस्तकालय के प्रांगण में नहीं कर सकते? इनको होटल्स में और बार्स के पास होने की क्यों जरूरत है? ये एक प्रश्न हम पूछ रहे हैं. Then we are also getting publication houses, both which do art, also publication houses for children like Eka, Art First, Tara. All these people are being invited. We are also called people who do children's literature festivals. We are inviting people who do audio, podcast, dramatized readings, young authors below 18 years of age. And we are also now seriously looking at starting in the MOC what is called the literary retreats and residencies in our library. Because if you recall, a few months back, the National Library inaugurated, the Honorable Home Minister of this country inaugurated the guest house of the National Library. We have another very beautiful guest house in the Rampur Raza, which is going to get modernized. And these 2 places are available attached to the libraries for literary retreats and residencies. We also have a session with the G20 and the Shanghai Cooperation countries librarians who will be coming, which will happen on the day 2nd. Then we also have several sessions during the course of these 2 days, where we'll be talking about the various schemes that we have. The National Library Mission, the various schemes that the Raja Ram Mohan Roy Library Foundation runs, which are for the state down till the village and the community, and individual libraries also, academic libraries also. Then we are also talking of the National Mission on Manuscripts and how to revive it. There is an act on the manuscripts which has been written to make manuscripts equivalent to the artifacts, as important as the Dancing Bronze Girl, for example. One nation, one subscription, one nation, one digital library, global best practices. And also we are very happy to tell you that we have devised a ranking format for the libraries, a 42 question, very simple to fill, which will be circulating once it is inaugurated by the Honorable Vice President. Then the libraries will be able to rank them on 5 different major parameters: physical infrastructure, digital infrastructure, the amount of books that they have, the kind of membership and readership they have, the kind of footfalls they have, the kind of programming that they do, the kind of business modeling, the kind of outreach they have in the communities. So this will also be launched. Then we have a total of 10 exhibitions. And this is something which is probably the libraries have never looked at themselves as places where you can exhibit certain things. We've only looked at exhibiting of rare manuscripts and documents. But this time we are bringing out 10 exhibitions for you. 2 cartographic exhibitions of rare maps. One NAI is doing, which is the National Archives of India. Then we have also, because we also believe in Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, and we also believe in the fact that despite the fact that India is a linguistically diverse country, language and the written word, and the whole world has been conquered by the word, not by the sword. So we are also trying to get all these 22 languages that are part of the Indian Constitution. We are doing a cursive writing book. We are going to give you a background of, say, for example, Hindi language, Gujarati language, Tamil language, Malayalam, Santhali, all the languages that are there in the Constitution, and we'll show you how the alphabet is written in each language in one book, which is going to get inaugurated by the Honorable President of the country. Because the idea is, when you do tourism in India, if you can see the letter and then make up the word, at least you'll be able to read and appreciate the written text of various states in the country. We are also doing an exhibition on tribal forms. We are also doing an exhibition on oral archives. The corporate sector is also looking at what the Honorable Prime Minister said in the International Museum Expo, because they all have histories. The academic universities also have history. The IP University, the Lady Shri Ram College University, Jawaharlal Nehru University, all these have huge amount of historical references and stories. Corporate houses like Wipro, Tata, Infosys are also compiling their archives and putting up an exhibition. So you will get to see all these kind of storytelling. This is happening. We're also putting up an exhibition of proscribed literature, which was banned by the colonial rulers. So that is also something that you will see. The songs that were written that did not reach out because they were proscribed and they were banned. We are also doing a session on the archives and oral histories, human library project, community outreach. Then we have a children's zone. You will have lot of sessions, book binding for children, how to write, how to edit, how to get published. Then we will have interactions with your authors. We will also have interactions with famous authors and personalities. We will also have lot of hands-on sessions for people. The India Culture Portal is also going to do a lot of quizzes for the children on literature, on literary activities, on literary personalities. Then, of course, we have a valedictory function. As part of the valedictory function, we will also be doing a service. Every time, because we live in a service age, we come out with new schemes. But this time, we are coming out with a service, which is called a Biblio on Demand. And we will tell you more about it, because I'm sure a lot of people would want to write about it. So I'm not going to spill all the beans. But let's move on to what we are doing in terms of what Sir said, that the libraries, we see libraries as the drawing rooms of the community. And I often draw an analogy with the gardens. And Sir also mentioned, our Minister Sir also mentioned, that the grandfather and the grandchildren, because that is how the storytelling happens. In the gardens, you will see that the gardens are very, very egalitarian spaces where people of all genre, all class, all caste, all age groups are able to access the gardens. Be it a Lodi garden where people from Mercedes come, climb down and walk in the garden. And there's also a cycle wala which will go and use the garden. The children also use the garden. There's an open gym in the gardens today. How can we make libraries equivalent to the gardens? How can it be a more egalitarian space? How can it be comfortable space? How can they be like the drawing rooms of the community? So we have created 4 drawing room spaces. The first drawing room will have all the author sessions. We are also going to have 4 open mic poetry sessions here. Different libraries, different public publishing houses are doing this for us. Then we also have a digital zone. So we will, in the digital zone, we will have audio books, we will have dramatized reading, we will have podcasts, we will have flip books. You can go sit in the library. The idea of doing these drawing rooms is to tell you that this is how we want our own MOC libraries to look like in the future. And I'll also tell you that there are 3 libraries that are getting renovated and inaugurated. The groundbreaking is happening during the Festival of Libraries. The India Culture Portal works in the National Virtual Mission under the National Mission of Library, National Digital Virtual Mission, NVLI for us, and they will also be doing a drawing room for us. Then we also have what is called the Community Library Project. There is a whole lot of IFLA-run free library movement, because library, as you know, is a state subject. So we want to ensure that libraries slowly, increasingly, should become free of cost for the members. And somewhere in the scheme of things, we should build depreciation for the books that come, so that we don't have heavy security charges for people, because just like everything else depreciates in life, you buy a car, the car depreciates, the books also depreciates. So we should be able to give readership to as many people as possible through the libraries. And then, of course, there will be a children's zone. The open mic poetry should be very interesting, because the title is Ka Se Kitab. So if you want to come and read poetry, Gulzar has written very nice poetry on Kitab. There are a lot of authors who have written books on poetry on Kitab and reading culture. So if any of you are poets and they would like to come for our session, we'll be very, very happy to have you. So Sir has to leave, because unfortunately he was kind enough to give us so much of his time, but I'm extremely grateful, because he has a 3 p.m. party press conference. all party meeting, sorry, because of the session, and he has to leave for that. We are extremely grateful to you, sir, for your kind presence, and I will request Ajay ji to. Sorry. So I'll request Ajay ji if you can see sir off. And so we come back to the presentation. So as we have mentioned to you that the festival is being inaugurated by the Honorable President. Day one looks like this, and this is only the main session. As I've already told you, there will be a lot of parallel activities happening in the 4 drawing rooms and in the children's corner. The inaugural session will have launches. I will come to that. At 12 o'clock, everybody who comes for the inaugural will be hosted to a very curated meal. There will be a book talk before the meal, and whatever happens in the book talk in terms of the recipes that are discussed, that is the exact food that you're going to eat. So you can savor as you talk. So it is a treat to have all of you who come for the inaugural join us for the lunch, and the entire event is open to everybody and free entry for everybody. You can only register and just walk in. Only request is that please be seated by 9:30 on day one, because that is a high profile event. Followed by the cuisine, culture and the cuisine program that we have. We will have a literary quiz, and there are huge grand prizes in the literary quiz, and the quiz is open to the audiences. So if you participate in the quiz, you might just end up with some nice goodies to take back. After the quiz, we have best practices in library management, which is basically what the district collectors and various people working right from the national down to the ground level will be talking of how they have done what they have done in the field of libraries in their various remits. 3:30 we'll have a session. We will talk about this little later and explain to you what we do. The literary festival founders will be coming. 4:30 we have the bookstores as community spaces. 5:30 we are going to talk of a very, very innovative thing which is happening in the government right now, which is open to 500 pages translation free of cost by a government patented made software about which very few of us know. So there will be a presentation on this, and there will be a presentation on the making of a library from the architectural point of view as to how the library should look like, so that they become good spaces for people to come. So what are we doing in the inaugural function? This is what we are doing. The Museum of Bird, which is being built at the National Library, Belvedere House, is going to get inaugurated, virtually inaugurated. Then, as has been mentioned from the stage, we are doing a kickoff of the Rampur Raza Library, which is celebrating 250 years next year, 2024, 7th of October 2024. The virtual groundbreaking ceremony of the modernization of the Rampur Raza Library will take place. You will get to see how the library is now and how the library will look in the next 1 year. Because now it is not just a library, it's also a library cum museum. And then we will release a sassy library thriller series. So as you know that we are signing an MOU, a tripartite MOU between 3 of the libraries, which have manuscripts and literature from a particular period, which is common to all 3. They also share a particular linguistic affinity and a cultural affinity. And we want this to mimic the golden tourism triangle between Agra, Delhi and Jaipur. This is what is going to be the golden triangle for libraries, for readers, for researchers. So when they come to one library, they'll be able to move to the other libraries. When we do one exhibition in one library, it will seamlessly move in the other libraries to allow people in different states to access what is there in these libraries and to become popular in at least 3 states, and to start a literary residency and retreats program in all these libraries. Then, of course, I've mentioned the cursive handwriting book in 22 different languages and scripts. And then, of course, the inauguration of the 10 exhibitions virtually that will take place. This is a little bit about the valedictory function and what we are going to do. The valedictory function is on the 6th, which is day 2, and we end day 2 with this function at 5:30. I forgot to tell you that on day 1, we have a very, very special cultural program about which I'm not going to tell you now, because this has not been witnessed ever and it is related to libraries. So I would request you to make yourselves also available for the cultural program on day 1. Day 2, we will be talking with people, director generals and directors of libraries from around the world. These are librarians from the G20 countries and the SCO countries will be coming. Then 11:30 we have a session on oral archives and oral histories. 12:30 we talk about fostering reading cultures. 2:30 we talk with people who are already floating and running various kinds of literary retreats and residencies, because we want to collaborate with them. France, as you know, already has a collaboration. The Honorable Prime Minister went to France recently, and the Villa Swagatam between India and France is going to create 350 literary, dual-linguistic literary residence between the two countries. 4:30 we will have a presentation on the National Mission on Manuscripts and how it is changing now. And then, of course, we have the valedictory function and the launches. What are we launching at the valedictory function? We are doing a National Library ranking format, which has never been attempted before, because how do you standardize everything in the library is when you have a standard format. The Directory of Libraries, Volume 1, will come out this year. Then Biblio on Demand is it's not exactly a scheme, it's a service that the Central Reference Library Kolkata will provide to 1.23 billion people of this country. And then, of course, we have the virtual groundbreaking ceremony of the Delhi Public Library. The Delhi Public Library, the Heritage Library, has 5 major centers and 33 small centers. It runs 5 mobile buses, but it's a heritage building opposite the old Delhi railway station, and it needs to get a face uplift and become the drawing room of the community. So we'll show you a video clip of how the DPL is going to look in times to come, and how it is going to be a library not just for the disadvantaged, but drawing room of the community for all of us if we'd like to go and access it. So this we have already spoken, so I'll not spend much time on this. I'll take you through the various sessions that we have quickly to give you an idea of what we are doing. I've spoken about these, so I'll not dwell much, but I'll tell you who are the speakers and authors. So Gunjan Goyla has just come out with a book called The Banya Legacy of Old Delhi. तो हम आपको Old Delhi के जायकेदार खाने पर आपका स्वागत करेंगे first day after the inaugural. And Tarana Hussain Khan जो हैं वो रामपुर रजा से संबंध रखती हैं. She's written a book called Dekh to Dastarkwan, and you will get some very, very mouth smacking delicacies, the desserts from Rampur Raza, sourced originally from Rampur Raza at the lunch. So I think this should be reason enough. And then we have Pushpesh Panji as the food critic, and we have Manjeet Gill, who's not just a chef, but he's also the president of the Indian Association of Culinary Chefs. And all these 4 people will be doing a discussion on the khana that we will be having post the discussion. Then we spoke about the various literary festival peoples, founders. So these are some of the people who will be there. These are this is not just an exhaustive list, but there will be many more who will be present. So these are the people who have established and run several editions of these literary festivals, who will be talking of how the libraries can mimic and how these literary festivals can do at least some editions in libraries close by in various states. Then we also have a session on best practices. We have picked up people who have actually re-energized the library movement in the country, be it at the district level, be it at the community level, be it even at the village level. So Jatin Lalit and Mr. Lal Bahar. Mr. Lal Bahar is a deputy SP, and he has made a fantastic difference to libraries in Haryana. Just to give you an example, Uma Mahadevan has done likewise in Karnataka, and Faiz Ahmad is doing in Dumka and Jamtara in Jharkhand. So you will get to hear from them, you will get to see the kind of presentations that they're making. Then, of course, we will take you to the world of bookstores. And as we realize that bookstores were shops which were selling books, but over time, they have also reimagined themselves. How is it that the libraries have forgotten to reimagine themselves and reinvent themselves? So we will ask the libraries to learn from these bookstores, which are chota bookstores in our neighborhood, and today they are great cultural hotspots and cultural hubs. Kunzum, in fact, in GK South Delhi, has managed to make 4 floors doing this whole programming with books, and we thought that book selling was not a very, very profitable business. So there is so much that we can learn from these people. We are getting all of them from different parts of the world, so they are not just Delhi based. There's Rajat is coming from Jaipur, then Kitab Khana people are coming from Mumbai, then Blossoms is coming from Bangalore. Actually, we had so many people to call, even from the northeast and all, but the space on the munch is only so much that you can accommodate. But those people, even if they are not there physically on the stage, they will be available in the Festival of Libraries for you to talk and discuss. Then there is a very interesting language learning tool that has been developed by Dr. Buddha Chandrasekhar in AICTE, and it is available to everybody. We don't know about it. You can learn language through it. You can translate your documents, and I've tried translating a Hindi OM to an English and vice versa, and I find that it is up to 95% correct. So he's going to make a presentation so that all of us can start doing text to text and text to speech and speech to text in male and female and umpteen other languages. So this is something very interesting. Please do come for this session. The making of a library. We want to make our libraries better, but are we using experts to guide us in the process? Because new libraries are coming up. They can't just be normal rooms. They have to be inviting as the drawing rooms of the community. So we have 3 architects who are working, who have done some work in the field of libraries. So we have Abha Narayan Lamba. She's renovated the David Sassoon Library, which opened on 2nd of June in Mumbai. So we are asking her to make a presentation of how she looked about renovation of a library, because this is what we need to do in our space. Then Shikha Jain is involved with doing the Rampur Raza Library, and we will take you through her work in the Rampur Raza Library. And Mr. Dikshu Kukreja is doing the Delhi Public Library for us. Then, of course, day 2, we begin with a session with libraries around the world, which is all our countries from the G20 world and also the Shanghai Cooperation world. We have also people from Greece and Iran who are coming for this session, Russia, Britain, France, of course, but whole host of interesting people you will find, and they will talk about their iconic libraries and what the libraries in these countries are doing. Fostering reading culture becomes very, very important. How do you get a child to read a book and get interested in storytelling? We also have to look at the kind of books that we are doling out to the children. Are they imaginative enough? Are they attractive enough? Do they arouse the children's curiosity? So we have called certain children's publishing houses who've managed to crack this for the children of this generation. And parenting is now, the parents are also looking at these books to do informal parenting apart from the school-bound teaching that happens. So we have Pratham, Amarchitra Katha, Art One, Shrishti, Pepperscript, Niyogi, who are writing specifically books for children. Then we spoke about oral archiving. This is not just corporate houses, but a lot of academic institutions are looking back in time. Just as the country is celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and looking at the next 25 years of the Amrit Kal, so is everybody else as individuals and also as institutions. So Ishita Shah, who is an expert in oral history and archiving, she will be talking to all these people who are here from the Northeast as well, from the Sept archives, from the Indian Institute of Management archives, from the Patani Community archives, from Wipro, Infosys, Tatas. All these people will be talking of what the corporate houses are doing in terms of archiving their own histories. Then, of course, when we read, what do we do with reading? From readers to leaders, as Sir mentioned from the forum, from the dais. So we have got together all people who are doing literary residencies. How do we write better? Everybody wants to write today, at least to speak. We do journal. Most of us also journal at times. So how can our journaling get converted into a published book? How can our poetry get converted into an anthology? The retreats and residencies actually enable you to do that. They are enablers. How can also the books that are lying in our libraries get translated into different languages, not just Indian languages, but also languages of the world? So there will be a session with people who teach, residencies, also teach at the Iowa residency, which is the world's most famous program of retreats and residencies, but also people who are running these globally and pan India, because then if you want to send your child to become a better writer, these are places and these are connections and networks that you can strike when you come to the Festival of Libraries. Then we are also have a session on what is happening in the CSR, corporate social responsibility sector. What are the big industry houses doing? So we've put together a session where the big wigs, the CEOs of various companies will come and talk about what they are doing in the field of CSR for libraries and how some of the libraries can actually network with them and tap into the resources for our own libraries for infrastructure, modernization and digitization of our libraries. Then, of course, there is Dr. Anirban Dash is the director of the National Mission on Manuscripts, and he's going to talk of what is happening in manuscripts. This is a session which the academic libraries, the universities and colleges, because they have whole host of manuscripts available with them. Also the various erstwhile Raj Gharanas, which have not managed to preserve or convert their collection into libraries, or the Oriental Research Institutes. It is for them to make good use of this session. Then, of course, I mentioned the various exhibitions, and you have a list of all these exhibitions here. So Museum of Words is going to put up an exhibition so that you get a preview of how the Museum of Words in Kolkata, which is a museum built around words, look like for you, so that you can, because it's getting inaugurated. So once you have a sneak preview here at the Festival of Libraries, you can go to Kolkata and have a look at the museum. The cursive writing of 22 Indian scripts is also going to get converted into an exhibition, so you can better appreciate the various scripts of the country. Rare maps. This is a very interesting exhibition coming from our own National Archives of India. Rare maps from Jerusalem, from Sri Lanka, a map of Bombay written in Marathi script, and so much more that you will get to see. Then there is also an exhibition that the Asiatic Society of Mumbai is doing for us on the trigonometrical map story of India. Then there is an exhibition on calligraphy, which all the three libraries, the Khuda Bakhsh, the Rampur and the Mapri in Tonk is doing for us. Then we have ancient encyclopedias. We would not believe that we have an ancient encyclopedia on surgery and surgical instruments, which mimic what we do now. Something that was written in the 18th century, and the same kind of scissors and forceps, etc., that we still use in our medical profession, and a whole host of other encyclopedias on animals and plants that you'll get to see, which are all handwritten and beautifully hand-drawn. So this is coming out for the first time in public view. Then there is an exhibition on tribal forms, how you can use a Gondi script or a Kalamkari script or a Madhubani script to write scripts, which is very interesting, which somebody has attempted, and we'll have an exhibition on that. Then, of course, the oral and community archives will also be available for perusal, for witnessing, because then you will get to know of many nice anecdotal stories. Proscribed literature, that is very interesting, because you will get to see all the kind of things that were banned by our colonial rulers, and interesting stuff which you rarely get to see outside of NAI. This is how the plan is going to be. So we have 4 drawing rooms, we have an exhibition space, we have a children's corner, we have a food court for the lunch, and we have the inaugural and the valedictory space. All our main sessions will happen on the inaugural and valedictory space. And as I say, a big thank you to everybody who's had all the time and attention to go through the presentation. I also use this opportunity to invite all of you to kindly make it convenient, to spare your weekend, and also to spread the message around, amplify the message through your newsprint, your newspapers, your electronic media, and also your social media and your community outreach, because I think the children deserve to be a part of this. Because what happens is usually that when you inaugurate a function on day 1, it's only after that people come to know about it, and then day 2 the function is already over. So if you can spread the word around, it will be nice to have children, your own children maybe, and your neighbors' children come and have a look, because it will be very, very inspiring, not just for the adults but also for the children. And with this, I thank all of you and hand over the mic to Nanu ma'am.
Thank you, Muktaji, for the great details. And we really hope this Festival of Libraries will now become a starting point for a massive revival of reading in India and transforming the libraries all over the country. So after this, now we will have the question and answer session. After the questions, anybody from the audience, if you can just switch on the lights for the audience, please. Kindly switch on the lights for the audience. Anybody has a question? Please introduce yourself.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Vidhi from the print. I just wanted to know if there be any collaboration with schools and universities in specific.
Hello. Yes, of course. I mean, we can't do without. So we've written about 5,000 letters to schools, to academic institutions, to colleges, to director of libraries, to secretaries of the state, to the ministers of the state, to also the principal secretaries of the governors, honorable governors in various states, because they are the visitors and the presidents of the academic councils. We've also written to the education ministry. We are also in collaboration with the NBT. So I think we've tapped everybody, we've invited everybody, and these letters went month plus, maybe 2 months back. We're following up with everybody, and we've got huge response from schools and colleges and academic institutions. Most of them are also participating in various sessions. Other than that, the parallel sessions that are happening in the drawing rooms and the children's library will all be populated as visitors by children from the schools and the colleges. We've also reached out to all the literary societies and festivals that the various colleges do in Delhi, specifically, because we thought that the presidents of these will also get interested in coming and being a part of these various sessions.
Is there any central grant?
Arunkit, I think your mic is not working. Can you just switch it on?
Ma'am, I'm Arun from Swaraj. Is there any central grant for dividing all libraries all over the country?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. But I want to begin by saying that libraries are a state subject, right? So while it's the responsibility of the state to also look at libraries, the central government in the Ministry of Culture, as per the rules of business, is in charge of doing two things. Number one, we run the National Mission on Libraries, and as part of the National Mission on Libraries, we provide grants, which are huge. If I tell you the amount, you will be quite surprised, which I will tell you in a minute. We give grant and aids to one state library and one district library chosen by the Committee of Libraries of the state. So there is a Committee of Libraries which is headed either by the minister in the state or by the secretary, principal secretary, ACS, education or libraries in the state. The National Library, BG, is the additional Director General for the National Mission on Libraries. So to the district libraries, we give about 87 lakhs. To the state libraries, we give about 2.23 crores. And to the 7 MOC libraries and 3 grantee bodies that we have. So 76 libraries in all in the country as part of the mission. the two libraries that are getting for which we are doing the groundbreaking ceremony, which is the Rampur Raza, modernization of the Rampur Raza Library, and the modernization of the Delhi Public Library. The money has come from the National Mission on Libraries. Because the National Mission on Library earlier never thought of looking at its own libraries because there is a provision. So we've utilized this provision so that we can also look at our own libraries before we give grants to other libraries. So that is one. The second is that there is the Raja Ram Mohan Roy Library Foundation again in Kolkata, the job of which is to be the bridge between the central government and the state government and the local municipality and the district and the village and also the individual who's doing anything in terms of the library. So they have two kinds of schemes. And I'll tell you mota moti because the schemes are all available. I don't want to waste everybody's time. So they have two kinds of schemes. One is the non-matching, which is all the programming schemes. You want money to do 250 years, you want money to do 10 years of your library being in existence, we give you money. You want to do a conference in your library, we give you money. You want to do a literature festival in your library, we give you money. Then there is also the matching grant. You want a mobile library, you want to do books for the brain, you want to do podcasts, you want to improve infrastructure in your library, even at the village library, we give you money. So you look at what you need in the library and we are at your service. Either through the Rajaram Mohan Library Foundation or through the National Mission on Libraries. And now we are also spearheading on a direction from the Niti Aayog, what is called the One Nation, One Digital Library of the country, and we are looking at the government departments and consolidating them under one umbrella, which will be known as the India Cultural Portal, Union Repository or Union List of Libraries. And then we will slowly extend the reach because we want the states to come on board as equal partners because the library is a state subject. And we also want the states to legislate and make the libraries free of cost because still there is a demographic divide. So there's still not many people who have smartphones in rural areas, still not many people who can afford a Kindle, still not many people who would have internet. So for those people, community libraries become very, very important. Also, community libraries will remain important because we live in an age of mental anxiety and we are completely looking at the screen all the time. So libraries will also, like the gardens, give you a break from the on-screen time to be able to look and feel the smell of a book. Because if we don't do that, then what will happen to the publishing houses? What will happen to the aspirations of the writers who want to write and hold a copy of the book that they have written? So we will have to do what Sir and the Honorable Minister here said, that we'll have to do a balance between the physical and the digital, and now also maybe the podcast and the audio. So we are trying to do all this as part of the Festival of Libraries.